Hey, I'm Andrew, and I'm going to be showing you how to make one of these. I call it the poor man's tennis ball photosphere helper. Part of its function is a sun shield, but its main purpose is to keep your phone camera centered about a single point as you take photos, as this can drastically improve the stitching of your panoramas. Without a device to help keep the lens centered, capturing an indoor panorama is almost impossible, but here you see I've actually captured the inside of my living room quite nicely. What you'll need: a tennis ball, preferably one without much fur, some string, a milk bottle cap, a bread knife, nail scissors, Stanley knife, permanent marker, and finally some type of tray so the fur doesn't go everywhere. First step is to create a hole for the camera to look out of. Take the tennis ball and twist it like this to make a circle. Now cut this carefully with the bread knife, trying to keep the end bit intact. Now we need a hole to wedge our camera into. For this Galaxy Nexus camera, the camera is centered, and as a quick measurement, you need to come down to about here. Now if of course the camera was here, you would cut asymmetrically. Carefully cut out with the bread knife, not all the way of course. Now we can slip our phone in, and what we want is for the camera to be centered. So what you may have to do is cut just a little bit more off down the bottoms. At this stage I'm going to turn the camera on and hopefully we can see out. So here I'll actually take a test shot, and if I scroll across I'll see a bit of dark tennis ball on the edge. So what I'm going to do is trim our hole a little bit bigger to make sure we don't ruin our shot. The next part we'll be attaching our string. First I'm going to drill a small hole into the back of the tennis ball. Now I've actually tried a real drill for this, but I found it much easier to actually use nail scissors, as you can see here. Next we're going to drill another hole into the middle of this little end piece. It doesn't need to be big, just small enough to get the string through. Now into the bottom of our lid we'll drill quite a big hole, you'll see what this is for later, and a small one into the side. And we're also going to cut a little semicircle out like this. Now cut off a piece of string 8 feet in length. It might actually be even better using a fishing line, but I've used the string in this video because it's easy to see. To thread this string, a piece of scotch tape can help. We're going to create a little scotch tape needle like so. Now we thread the string through the end piece once and then twice. This makes it adjustable. Thread one end through the tennis ball itself and tie a knot on the other side. And then we're going to thread the other end through the little hole in the side of the milk bottle and tie a big knot there too. And you're finished! All you need to do now is slide the end piece to a good height and you're ready to use it. To use this device, stand upright with the bottom pieces hanging down. The tennis ball should be at about chin height, the lid should stay at a fixed place on the ground, and the end piece should be dangling a couple of inches above it. Now we want to reduce parallax error by keeping our camera lens at exactly the same position for all shots, hopefully less than a couple of inches variation. Make sure that the tennis ball piece is always dangling directly over the lid as you take each picture using Google's Photosphere application. Notice my lens is barely moving, and your lid should never move either. You start with the horizontal shots, then you go up, and then you do the rows at the bottom. Now for the last shot, the vertical down shot, is a good idea to get your camera in place first, pull your feet away, and then pull the string away just before you take the shot. Hit the stop button on the Photosphere application. Now let's see what it looks like. Processing might take a few minutes, so I have skipped over the wait. When it's finished, click the little Photosphere icon, and what you can see is it is stitched really quite nicely. Just for comparison, let's try without our tennis ball. Even holding the camera close to my face, which you're supposed to do, I still end up moving it around. It might not seem to matter, but as I show in this inset, just moving the lens a few inches left and right, we may either see the dartboard or don't see the dartboard, and various bits of the background, same as if we move up or down. So how might that kind of parallax affect the stitching of our final photosphere? Well, you might get lucky, but often you'll end up with something like this. The TV is fairly far back, so it survived, but our fan did not. If you really want to eliminate parallax, you'll want a tripod, and almost all tripods have this standard size screw on top. Remember our bottle cap. Well, we drilled the hole in the bottom the right size that it will actually screw into place. The great thing about this bottle cap and ball method is that as we rotate the tennis ball around, the lens will always stay perfectly at one point. Here I demonstrate how you can rotate the camera, but do be wary of the fact that some of your downward shots may catch the edge of the bottle cap, which is why we cut out the semicircle. Here I demonstrate how to use a tripod and tennis ball to take another full photosphere. We insert the phone upside down as normal. Now face the camera away from the handle and turn the handle. Then we rotate the ball itself to get the other rows. And don't forget to hold the camera in place so it doesn't fall. For the last row of downward shots, I avoid the bottle cap issue by tilting the tripod. I am all over the place for these last few shots, but luckily the down shots are least important. I'm not really worried about the carpet. And here's the final photosphere. This one stitched particularly well. It's hard to see any seams here. The fan turned out fine. One part that didn't come out is my blinds, but actually these came out bad in most photospheres. Anytime you have a repeated structure like this, it confuses the stitching, regardless of the parallax. Almost the end of the video. One important thing about your tennis ball photosphere helper is knowing how to wrap it up. Just wrap the string around the end piece like so, and tuck it inside. Now what's great about this whole thing is that it's good size to throw inside your hiking bag. Even if your bag shakes, it's unlikely to ravel. Until of course you want it to, then just let the bottom pieces fall to the floor. I'm going to finish with a quick note on tripods. You'll want one that expands to chin height. So for me, I like the 72-inch tripod. This one here was only $25 on Amazon. The small one is even cheaper. But for me, I feel it's a bit big to carry a tripod hiking. So I just carry the tennis ball and a string as something I can easily whip out whenever I want. Feel free to read more about the Photosphere software and tripods on my webpage. Thanks for watching.